There's an 18-year-old young man who lost his life. And before we discuss any theories, I think it's important for everybody to remember that there's a family that's grieving. With that said, take a back step here. I think that it's important, and I think the sheriff actually mentioned this, that they're not going to rush to conclusions. Good investigators in any case are not going to lock themselves into theories too early. Some of the family concerns, as you mentioned, they talked about a timeline. You talked about the phone, talked about some deleted messages and inconsistencies among the witnesses. Now, just because the family has concerns and they're reasonable investigative questions, don't get me wrong, it's not proof of criminal conduct. I thought we would look at each one of these, Jim. When you talk about phone evidence, modern phones have a tendency to provide a lot of information, as we know. Your location, communications, photos, timestamps, content that was deleted, all these things. And a lot of that depends on the device you have, what type of backup you have, and what legal access they can actually get. Anything else you want to add to that, Jim?
No, it just, I like to, for our audience sake, we probably don't have to remind them that we're both older and started our careers in the 70s, but basic phone records back then, you'd have one phone call going from one landline to another. And this is not if not if a wiretap was up, but you go try to get phone records, days, weeks, or months afterwards. It was very, very basic information. Nowadays, investigators have so many more tools at their hands, all the things you just described. It won't even give them the conversations if there's no Title III or wiretap up, but just locations of the phone, who else may have been involved, a very specific location, I think within a 6 foot by 6 foot, area or so if the triangulation can be measured correctly. So there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from phone records nowadays, much different than even 20 and certainly 40 years ago, Ray, when you and I were kind of starting out. So they will be mining that information, that data, and doing everything they can to determine who was last in touch with the young man and see where it goes. But we have to be careful that there isn't anything put out there online that the internet sleuths, being them, seasoned or amateurs, jump on and right away think that it's something nefarious. It may not be. And as Ray said, and as the sheriff said, we have to wait until this matter is fully investigated without rushing into any conclusions.
The other thing the family was concerned about was some of the witness statements that were conflicting. That doesn't automatically mean deception like a lot of people think. There's a couple reasons that could happen, especially at a 4th of July party. First of all, you have someone missing. A lot of stress. I'm sure there was a lot of alcohol, and that affected memory. There's some confusion, and you may have some intentional deception by some of these individuals. I'm not saying that that's not happening, but investigators are going to look at a lot of different things here. They're going to look at timelines. They're going to look at surveillance, GPS based upon their phones, their phone records, and any other digital evidence that they have before they decide any credibility in reference to this. Now, Jim, I know you mentioned online rumors, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to educate our audience that there's a lot of things that happen, like viral videos, fake evidence that's put out there, and even edited social media clips. It's amazing what you can do with AI. And I want to tell, this is my point here, is that investigators don't solve cases through TikTok. Okay. They solve them through evidence. And I think everybody needs to make sure that they stick to that and not get caught up in all of these things that are being placed online and social media. I think that can really distort a lot of thoughts, and people come up with these theories through social media. And we saw that happen in another case we're going to talk about a little bit later, the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But we don't want to take away from what the police are doing. I think it's really important not to do that.
Yeah. And we're the first to call police out. We have an upcoming case or two in which we have some serious questions about what they've been doing, if not for 5 months, for about 18 years in 2 separate cases, soon to discuss. So, yeah, this has only been a week or so, plus or minus a few days, with the Wells case in Mississippi. And let's give the investigators some time here. It's a sad case for the family, for friends, for loved ones. No matter how you look at it, that doesn't make it a criminal case. That doesn't make it a criminal investigation. I mean, again, it could be if they're underage drinkers, did some adult get them this booze? I mean, there could be the criminal aspect to it, other drugs involved, those types of factors could kick in. But in terms of someone purposefully, committing murder or homicide or reckless endangerment of some sort, we just don't have that information yet. And the police are trying to put that together. And, hopefully they get some people telling the truth there. All it takes is one that can put the puzzle pieces together, and this matter could hopefully be solved sooner rather than later. Still a sad ending. Young man lost his life, but let's hope that it wasn't any type of a criminal involvement in any way, shape, or form, and just an accident, which again is bad enough.